Alright, here we go. Today we have a 1v1 on Simple between the blue team in the left side, LAZ0R in the classic Osprey, with lucky number 13 Pool Ball trailing, against SpectrumZ in the Steampunk Helix. So, LAZ0R is pretty obviously a smurf, based on his name and his notorious win-loss ratio. And faction, and Spectrum is in the Grizzly Wings faction. So Spectrum was able to actually kill those jackals with his Helix rockets before the start of the game, so he will have a head start on grabbing that outpost, while LAZ0R is dropping a Longhorn to kill those jackals and socketing his moneymaker. They both do have level 1 of their abilities. Spectrum going for a little bit of Moneymaker harass, but LAZ0R's right there to heal up the Moneymaker, so it's kind of a bit of a stalemate. The Osprey can out-heal a mech's guns, so Spectrum decides to go for this other Moneymaker instead. LAZ0R drops those creeps he had in his cargo, and Spectrum still shooting this outpost. LAZ0R was not able to get it with those creeps, and it does go back down all the way to neutral, but 4 more creeps do go down for LAZ0R, and it does go up to the blue team, and Spectrum barely escapes there. LAZ0R almost gets him and goes back to his outpost to recharge and brings out a Seeker and Ratchet from his build queue, while Spectrum has some Gemini along with a Seeker and a Ratchet, and is going strong for this mid now. So he is starting to kill those neutrals. LAZ0R is doing the same thing. He's being a bit slower. He is building some Buckies, actually, so that's an interesting unit in his loadout. He is pushing those on the bridge. Spectrum going for a little bit more harass, and is just doing a little scout, I guess. And LAZ0R is building more Longhorns. Spectrum is building more Gemini, and he's putting that Ratchet on the bottom part of that cliff so that it can actually heal up that cliff, and it won't get hit by enemy units as easily. And LAZ0R briefly takes that outpost and pulls out a Longhorn, but it does quickly go down to neutral because Gemini are so good at neutralizing outposts, so they're really good for a mid-fight. And Spectrum trying to shoot around that outpost with his rockets, but LAZ0R is right there to heal it up. And LAZ0R actually bringing out 2 Arties, and Spectrum has not yet brought out a Sonya. He does have a Sonya in his loadout. I'm not sure if he quite realizes that the artillery is shooting, although 1 tank does go down of the red teams. And LAZ0R is building some more Buckies, and LAZ0R also has a Sonya out on the field because Spectrum pulls out some of his own artillery. He does have an Archie, so that Archie won't be doing much. And Spectrum trying to kill that Bucky, but almost goes down in the process. LAZ0R comes back to heal it up, and Spectrum is able to walk back to his outpost. But there's a large clump of Buckies there, so Spectrum trying to bring a tank and himself, but the artillery along with those Buckies are really bringing his health down. He's an Alexi, so he doesn't have too much armor with his Helix, and LAZ0R just continually bringing out more Buckies, while Spectrum has just a good line of Gemini. And another tank does go down, and he almost dies again to those artillery. There are 3 artillery out on the field now for LAZ0R, and Spectrum briefly takes that outpost, but it is quickly neutralized by all those tanks and Buckies of LAZ0R's. Spectrum trying to shoot those rockets. They can outrange tanks, but LAZ0R, it's just so quick to go to an outpost and back to his units that it's really hard for Spectrum to snipe units, because LAZ0R is an Osprey as well, so he can quickly heal up those units. So Spectrum still hasn't pulled out a Sonya, and he does go down there to those Buckies while he's trying to harass there. And LAZ0R dropping some infantry, distracting the tanks, and pulling out 2 more Arties. He doesn't really move up his tanks, though. He probably could have been able to kept hold of that outpost, but there are still 5 Gemini, and with another one coming out for Spectrum. So he did move up his Buckies with the Longhorn to try and get them in range of that Gemini, and so he's moving them up a little more, and those Buckies are shooting while the Longhorn is taking the damage, so it's really good Bucky play by LAZ0R. But Spectrum actually pushing out all of his Gemini. He realizes, oh, I don't think I can win this mid-fight, so instead he pushes out all of his units. He does have 5 Gemini here pushing out. He does place that Archie, actually 6 Gemini, along with a Seeker there, and LAZ0R is instead pushing out his Buckies on T, and moving up his artillery, and I don't even know if he realizes they're there, and then switches all those Buckies to Y, and then he now obviously does see these tanks, and LAZ0R is a body block or unit blocking the damage. Spectrum has neutralized that forward outpost of lasers, and he is bringing more tanks here to drop at the base. He is out of energy, however, and he is trying to kill that Longhorn. And LAZ0R doing a great job of blocking these Gemini with his Longhorn, so not much at base health has gone down, and all of these Gemini will be cleaned up by LAZ0R's tanks, but Spectrum has been able to take this outpost with his creeps. He's low on health, and but Spectrum is able to heal up on the ground there and take that outpost and pull out 4 more Gemini. LAZ0R has only lost a little bit of base health, but has lost his forward outpost, so he only has the mid outpost and his close outpost now. And so LAZ0R is rearranging his artillery to shoot at this forward outpost that Spectrum sort of cheese pushed, and there's only one bulb up for this middle outpost, so LAZ0R is bringing some creeps here. Oh, but all of LAZ0R's units have come onto this Y, and Spectrum has actually lost more health due to that. He took a really long time in responding to that. So LAZ0R did push quite a few Buckies along with a Longhorn, and those were just cleaned up there by Spectrum. And so LAZ0R pulling out Gemini, he's probably going to do a push, using those artillery to try and neutralize that outpost. So rather than trying to take this outpost, and Spectrum D actually is pushing out all of his Gemini, so there are a lot of Gemini here out for Spectrum. What does LAZ0R have in this loadout? Nothing, because he is unit capped, he doesn't have any generators. And so he did push out all of these tanks though on Y. So he does have 6 Longhorn here that will go to the base soon, but Spectrum is here with more Gemini, and LAZ0R just has Longhorns that he kept as base defense, and Spectrum is microing around all of his tanks to the corners, which is exactly what you should do, and LAZ0R is also microing, but a lot of base health is going down for LAZ0R. LAZ0R really needs to unit block these units, even drop maybe. He still is unit capped, however, and Spectrum is moving more of these tanks to get better surround of blocks, and LAZ0R dropping to shoot, but realizes that he needs to block these with his tanks, so he's doing that. The Gemini LAZ0R's almost out of health. I think Spectrum might be able to get this base. There's still 3 tanks alive for Spectrum, and Spectrum is shooting at the corner, and there's almost no base health left for LAZ0R, but there is no health left, and look at that, Spectrum's trying to shoot, but LAZ0R is pulling a tank, and all 6 of these Longhorn actually are able to take this victory. Look how much health is left on that base for LAZ0R. Spectrum tried so hard, he was shooting at the corners, but LAZ0R was microing his Longhorn and using himself to body block SpectrumZ's Helix shots, and even in that Lexi pilot, he was not able to take this victory over the 6 Longhorn shooting at the front door for LAZ0R. So yes, LAZ0R is a smurf, and LAZ0R was able to narrowly escape death there in his victory over SpectrumZ, so a very good game for both of these players. So I hope you liked it, and I will see you all later.